All right, Sheriff Richard Roundtree running for election for your fourth term.
Fourth term, yeah.
Fourth term. A lot different this year than it was last time around, where you really didn't have any competition and you kind of sat it out and we were in the middle of COVID and things like that. Does it feel like a different campaign to you?
No, I mean, each year I've ran, I've had opposition. So, it's not nothing I'm used to.
Okay. In your campaign videos, you say safer streets and a stronger community are important to you. Do you believe Augusta streets are safer since you came into office?
Absolutely they are, and statistics back that up for the last 12 years. Our numbers have shown that consistently crime has went down every year we've been in office. Again, the number one thing that's plaguing not just Richmond County, but the United States is gun violence. Mm-hmm. No one has found that that magic wand yet to curb this youth gun violence. So we're not immune to that. So that's where a lot of our focus is on. But every other crime, Part 1 crime, has dropped dramatically to include, like I said, burglaries, armed robberies, rapes, aggravated assaults. Consistently, those numbers have dropped every year. So Augusta is, in fact, statistically safer than it was 12 years ago when I took office.
Do you ever deal with the perception, or do you ever hear from people a perception that it's more dangerous? And how do you respond when people
Yeah, I mean, those
say that?
Those are the people who are, and I say they're uninformed.
Mm-hmm.
They go by what the perception is to the fact of, and just like media, if anything else, shootings and homicides get media attention. Mm-hmm. So when that's all the people see on television, they don't see that burglaries are down 50% or rapes are down 80% or car thefts are down 40%. They don't see that because those don't get reported. Mm-hmm. So people just comment on what the news reports. And of course, I know the media is a business. Those are the big headline stories. So that's when people see that over and over, they think that's the only thing that's happening in their town, which is not true. And that's why we try to put our message out, letting them know that, hey, we're safer. And if you're not out someplace you shouldn't be at 2 o'clock in the morning on Sad Street, then the chances of you getting hurt, shot, or murdered are greatly depleted.
Yeah. Very good, very good. Yeah, I wondered if you don't mind, just to get in, did you have an overall other campaign message that when you go out and you talk to groups for election that you're trying to get across, other than what I said from the campaign videos?
No, that's what we try to get people to understand, that the media perception is not the reality of our town. A lot of things that we've implemented, like I said, we big into the 21st century with technology and cameras. Of course, even less lethal force. We went to the tasers, the body-worn cameras on deputies to hold them accountable. All those things, when I go my message, I give all the things that they don't hear on mainstream media. And most of the people who are naysayers and negative, they comment on the negative aspects of law enforcement and not the positive. I mean, we just last week, command staff gave a deputy a life-saving award for a person whose leg got severed and he put a tourniquet on it and saved a life. And that's not the first time that has happened. So I go out and try to get a message to the stories that people don't hear about. And then when they hear about them, they're like, I didn't know that. I didn't hear about that. No, because that's not what's being reported.
Very good, very good. What do you, before I get into what your challenges are saying as they oppose you, what do you make of having 3 challengers this time versus 1 in the past, and a very weak challenge it seems like in the past?
Well, everybody wants to sit in the big chair, and they think what it's like to be in the big chair. But I look at it as the fact that, one, I applaud anybody who puts themselves out there as a candidate. It is hard. I did it 12 years ago for the first time. I know how difficult it is to offer yourself up as a candidate. So I applaud anybody who does that, But my thing is, you want to be in the seat for the right reason.
Yeah.
When I look at the people who are challenging for this seat here, all I look at is, what have they done to prepare themselves to be sheriff? None of them really have any supervisory experience. You're talking about a 700-man agency. You're talking about a $70 million budget, personnel-wise and stuff. So there's a lot of challenges that come with it. And like I said, when I decided to run for sheriff, I started 8 years before I ran trying to prepare myself to sit in the chair, supervised individuals, worked cases, worked investigations, worked homicide, went to the training, went to the FBI National Academy, went all these things to try to prepare myself to be, when I sat in the big chair, that I'd be an effective leader. So it's a different perspective when you're on the outside looking in. You think you know what it's like to be the sheriff, but you never do until you sit in the chair.
On that respect, you seem to have taken great offense at efforts to have Republicans in Richmond County pick a Democrat ballot and vote against you to, quote, make Augusta great again. Can you explain why that upset you so much?
Well, when the fact that upset me, I think it upset all people who were in the Democratic Party, just like if a Republican, if they had a candidate, a Democrat come in the Republican primary. You know, that's been going on for politics for over decades, where they call them the dinos and rhinos.
Yeah.
So I'm like, for the political landscape to play out, why don't you just pick the best candidate for the race? And it has nothing to do with crossing over to switch candidate. If you feel that's the best candidate, then vote for the best candidate or the most qualified candidate. But like I said, when you start playing that partisan politics, that's just political. Mm-hmm. That is not who has done the best job, who will do the best job for Richmond County. You're just saying politics and saying, hey, we're Republican, we want to pick, get the sitting Democrat out and put our own candidate in. Mm-hmm. And to me, like I said, I think you're doing a disservice to the community. So that's what bothers me much. I mean, let's take the politics out of it and just vote who you think doing the best job.
Well, I mean, do you think that, I mean, you serve Democrats and Republicans.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Yeah.
And so, I mean, do you feel like Republicans have a right to do that since they really don't have a Republican candidate for sheriff?
Well, they may have an independent candidate that they can vote for, mm-hmm. or like I said before, recruit you a candidate that you think can do a good job for you. Mm-hmm. That's what the political process is. Mm-hmm. So what are you saying, that you don't have no Republicans that's qualified to be sheriff in Richmond County?
Well, I mean, the math is a Republican isn't going to win in Richmond County, correct?
Well, I guess that's the math all over the country, but you know, state is, like I say, when we look at mine come November, not only Democrats vote for me. Now, in the Democratic primary, of course, you pick a party because that's how our political process is set up to work. And that's all over the United States. That's not in Richmond County. That is in the United States. Mm-hmm. But come November, based on the numbers, I'm almost certain there are a fair number of people who voted for a Republican president voted for me as their sheriff.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be from the numbers.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. What do you make of let's see, do you think having 3 challengers says anything about the perception that you are vulnerable?
No. Again, I think that people want to seek for the wrong reason, mm-hmm. and I think they fall into that perception too, that people hear that crime is rapid. You know, at one point when we had a string of deputies that we were locking up, mm-hmm. And again, we are a major agency. We're not a local 50-man department like most rural sheriff's offices are. We're not that way. We're not built that way. So things are going to happen here. So it's naive for anybody to think that when something happens that we're not going to react to it and the wheels are not falling off. But that's the perception the negative people on social media come up with. The candidates, I believe, have bought in that perception because every talking point they do is the same negative talking points that you hear people on social media talk about. And I think they're just feeding into it. But that's not the reality of the situation, and I know that.
What is the reality? Because you have, I think you're going on 36 officers that have been either fired or arrested over the last few years.
Mm-hmm. Probably that's about correct.
Yeah, and what is that? I know at some point you had a press conference and you said that your command staff was examining, are we doing something wrong? Mm-hmm. Is the command staff doing something wrong in the hiring process or whatever? But you brought up the officers and the perception that way. I mean, mm-hmm. I don't see as other agencies doing as many. Columbia County just had a jailer that they fired and arrested, but not in the same numbers as Richmond County. Has the command staff identified what maybe the problem is, and what do you say about the perception that?
Well, since we had that newscast, like I said, those numbers have drastically dropped down, and I think one of the things that we did was We got deeper into the vetting process. As far as in your hiring process, we added some additional layers in our hiring process, going a little bit deeper into the people's social media access and now to their friends and associates.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I think we were missing before is that friends and associate piece of the background, whereas your background may be clean, you have nothing to shoot red flags, but everybody in your circle has some deviant behavior and whatnot. So we were kind of missing that piece of it. We were just focused on individuals. So now we've added those additional layers, and I think, based on numbers, we've gotten results. But, again, the reality of it too is, and I'm not singling out any other agency, but it happens all over the United States because I travel all over the United States. We're just one of those agencies that we just don't separate ourselves from. If you committed a crime, we lock you up.
Yeah.
A majority of the agencies don't do that. And you've seen stories about that, how bad officers get kicked down the road, next thing you know, they end up at another agency.
Right.
Or if you look at a deputy or officer who finally gets arrested, then you'll see he's been at 6 different agencies. And every one of them he's been let go or terminated and fired. So ours is, if you break the law, we're not going to pass you on to another agency. We're going to separate you from this agency, and we're going to lock you up for the crime. Now, if another agency decides to hire you based on that, that's on them.
Yeah.
But we with full disclosure. So, a lot of other agencies don't do it. It ain't like it's not happening.
Right.
It just, we don't cover it up.
Well, I mean, is that any reason for the number of shortages in officers? I know other agencies have shortages. Y'all have how many currently?
Probably right around 200.
200.
But those, and that's the thing too now, that's not bodies, that's positions.
Okay.
So when we say vacancies, we're talking about civilian personnel, we're talking about sergeants, whereas let's say if we got 5 deputies on a particular zone, and it's one of the positions we have for a sergeant position. That sergeant position is vacant. That don't mean we don't have 5 deputies working.
Right.
It's just we have a supervisor that we have not promoted yet. That one of those 5 can be a sergeant. So that becomes a vacancy. So when people look at them, they can't look at them as bodies. It's like positions. Record clerk. I can have 8 record clerk positions open. Those considered vacancies within my agency. Because remember, we're not just law enforcement and jail part. I have over 125 civilian positions, and a lot of those are vacant. Right now, for CSOs, we converted CSOs. We got 12 CSO positions vacant.
CSO is?
Community safety officers.
Okay.
The ones in the orange, yellow shirts.
Right.
We have 12 of those who are positions open that we're trying to fill now, that we've been working to our real-time crime center that we're creating. But those count as vacancies. That's not deputies not on the street. That's those positions that are open within the sheriff's office. And so when people say, well, they 200 men short, we're not 200 people short. We have 200 vacancies of every position that we allowed at this agency.
But is there anything to the perception that if I work at Richmond County, I risk getting locked up, not just fired, but they might come after me?
That should be perception of every law enforcement agency if you break the law, in my opinion. Now, that's my philosophy.
Right, but you've said that other agencies don't
Correct.
do that.
But we do.
So does it make it a more dangerous proposition for somebody looking at coming to Richmond County?
I don't think so if they're not precluding to break the law. I mean, if your mentality is you coming not to break the law, then you don't have to be concerned about that.
Okay. And is there a philosophy, a personal philosophy there? Is it just your background? I know you were at the FBI Academy and things like that, but you do seem to take this much more seriously as far as going after the bad guys, whether they're wearing a badge or not.
I think they shouldn't be law enforcement officers. I think if you break the law, then you don't deserve the right to wear the badge. And yeah, that's my philosophy. And as an agency head, I'm always going to stick by that. Now, that means, like I said, over the last 2-3 years, we locked up 3 dozen people. They're not in law enforcement. I don't think they deserve to be in law enforcement. So I'm not going to compromise my beliefs or my ideas because I feel I'm short of personnel. And I've told my deputies that. Push comes to shove, all 20 members of my command staff can get out and write a report, take a report, do an accident, I told him, I said, I can go out and take a report. It's going to take me a while to write the report up, but I can get the information and I can get it done. So
You're not at that point yet.
No, we're not at that point yet. But that's what I'm saying. But I'm not going to sacrifice our beliefs and our integrity because people say, well, you're short of personnel.
Okay. Eugene Gino Rock Brantley said this month that he has seen your agency quit responding to calls and the leadership lacking in empathy and perspective for deputies' sacrifice. Do you have a response for that?
First of all, he has no qualifications to be sheriff. And they never talk about, and all my opponents, none of them all never tell what they're going to do. They always tell what's wrong with the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
Now, one person has said what I'm going to do to fix it. What have I done? I'm going to do that they have not done or they're doing that I'm going to do differently. Or what are my credentials to be sheriff? Now, if he's talking about differential response, we've been doing that for almost 2 years now. And we went out with that. We announced it to the media. We did a media release.
Yeah.
That's not a secret. That's not something, so it's not that we're not responding to call. The verified response for burglar alarm, we put that out there and showed exactly why we did it. So that gives our deputies more time to answer more violent crime calls or proactive patrols. The differential response reports, which agencies have been doing them all over the United States, where if your car wouldn't get broken out, there's no suspects that are missing, we can take the reports over the phone. Those are an insurance issue matter. So why would I send a deputy to your house, keep him there for 20 minutes to write a report because somebody threw a rock and broke your window when you're going to file an insurance claim? That deputy could be in the street patrolling, keeping your neighbor's house from getting burglarized or somebody from being shot. And you still get the report and your insurance company still pays to get your window. So that's a differential response that we went to 5 years ago that we didn't invent, that we saw other agencies were doing it, doing the same thing, and it frees up manpower. So my response to those is, that's why your violent crime is decreasing, because of these other things we're doing. Now, you rather us come and respond to your window being broken or false alarm that happen 99% of the time, or do you want us patrolling your streets and catching people who are breaking into your house or the people who are shooting up neighborhoods? So we tend to focus more on the major crimes.
Okay. Gino Brantley also says taxpayers are currently contributing $35 million in salaries for officers, and he asked, what are we getting?
I think I just answered that.
Yeah.
So that's why I say it. These are talking points that they're not based in fact.
Yeah. Okay. Perhaps your harshest critic is Bo Johnson, who called the sheriff's office a circus right now. He went on to say it's being run by clowns. Any response to that?
Yeah, I've known Bo many years, and I think he crossed the line with that. I have no problem with politics. I have no problem with him wanting to be sheriff or thinking he can be a better sheriff or a better administration than we go. But when you start, getting into the personal attacks, me and my people, I think you're crossing the line. I think that's just showing your true character. You can have healthy debate. You can say why you want to be sheriff. You can say why you think I shouldn't be sheriff. When you get into the negative aspect of it, then I think you're stepped a little lower on that bar.
Yeah. Specifically, he said his son was in a class of 15 officer trainees. Only 2 remained after 3 years, and his son told him that they don't care about us.
I can't speak to what his son says or didn't say. He did work for us because in fact, he came and asked, could his son have a job here? So what does that say about you when you come and ask, hey, I want my son to work here? What does that say to you? So to the other part, I can't say to what he said to him or not, or what conversation he had with his son or not.
Well, the number is 15 officer trainees and only 2 remained.
I don't know if that to be true or not.
Do you see a lot of people who were officer trainees and a lot of them leave within a few years despite all the money put into their training?
Officers, that happens all over. I don't know about an officer training. I don't know what that means is. But his son left here and went to work for another agency now. Why people leave and go, for whatever reason. The thing about it is you always hear from the disgruntled ones who leave, why don't we start interviewing some of the ones that are still here? And nobody hears from them, and those quotes are never made.
I can give you one. I've talked to somebody on your payroll last night, and he said he'd love to hear you answer, what are you going to do to improve morale among the force? Because he says morale is low, not only here, but among other law enforcement.
Well, I think morale is low in law enforcement profession because the public kind of stepped back from that total support of law enforcement that they had, and all that went with the social justice movement, the George Floyd movement years ago, and the perception kind of changed. But we saw the same thing happen with the military about 10 years ago, when military recruitment plummeted because people were not supporting the military as they once were. So I think generationally, as this new, and we talk about it all the time at a command staff meeting, this is a new generation of employees. So you got to meet them where they are. Like we said in a sheriff conference I went to in January, the workers we get, the new hires, they have no work experience. Where my generation, or perhaps yours too, we were working at 16 to 17. We were working fast food. We were cutting grass. We were washing cars. I get applicants here are 22, 23 years old, and this is their first job. They come here. Some can't dress for an interview. Some can't speak well in an interview. These 22, 23-year-olds. So they don't have that work ethic that other generation has. Not saying that it's wrong. It's just saying that now, as a law enforcement agency, we got to adapt to the needs of this new, not millennial, even Generation Z class who dealt in nothing but technology. Their social adaptation skills are not as ingrained as ours were. And in law enforcement, 95% of it is your social interaction skills. Now, we use a lot of technology to try to help advance crime as far as crime fighting techniques, but it's about people skills. And those have to be developed. And if you come in at 22 and 23 and you don't have them, and you telling me now I got to interact with people every day and talk to them every day and engage and empathize and sympathize and de-escalate and try to hypothesize what this person is going through, that's asking a lot of a person. So biggest thing is, like, that's why we try to add programs for our deputies, send them to schools for these things, and have these bi-weekly conversations, like, what would you like to see? And what we did, when I said command staff, I told them, go out to your people, give me a list of things they would do to improve this agency. Get it from them and bring me a list, and let's look at it. And we looked at some of them, and some of them we immediately improved. One, they want to be allowed to wear beards. But like, as long as it's trimmed and clean, that's fine. Tattoo policy. We go with tattoo policy as long as it's not offensive. A lot of agencies make you cover up tattoos, right? Or they won't even hire if you had that tattoo. So we looked at that. So some of these things that they asked for that we could give, we immediately give. Of course, we always try to do financial compensation. We just, this last pay period, now our starting salary for deputies are now $50,000. They just saw that on their paycheck this last week from this last raise package. When I took office, the starting salary for a deputy was $32,000. Special duty rate was $12 an hour. Now it's $50,000 an hour. $50,000 a year, and the special duty rate is $40 an hour.
How much?
So, 40.
40. Okay.
So we try to compensate them for the time they spend away from their family. So, these are a lot of things that we've done, and that's why I say that we asked the deputies, what would you like to see more of us do for you? And the things that we can implement, we implement.
Very good. So that's a definite reaction to morale, asking them what they want and working on that. Let's move on. You had worked with Richard Dixon, yet he is running against you and said, we've got to get the current administration out of there.
I've worked with Richard Dixon Eugene Brantley, and Bolton.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a unique question. And again, everybody thinks they can do a better job,
Yeah.
and everybody, and like I said, you got to tell me what would you do, and we've not seen any meat on the bones. Is what would you do differently that when in the last 12 years that we're not doing or we have not tried?
Mm-hmm.
And I told him, if you do that, hell, I might vote for you. So give me some solutions that we haven't doing or what we're doing wrong or we haven't tried that you're going to do to make things better. And those are just campaign talking points. And they're not based in fact. They're not based in the reality of the political aspect and the law enforcement aspects of the job. Because, like it or not, this still is a political position. Now, I come from a law enforcement background, investigation background, so I understand that part of it too. But it's a political entity of getting things done too. Political landmines that you got to navigate, especially with the commission. You know how that goes, navigating that. So those are things over time and building those relationships that you just can't come in and change. Even though, like I said, the commission controls my budget, but things that happen throughout the year, you've seen me many times. I have to go back to the commission to ask for certain things that was not included in my budget, or those things that emergencies that come up. And if you don't have those relationships, or you don't say, hey, this is why I need it, it's no fault of our own, this is what happened, can you assist us in making this county safer? If you don't have that, then you can yell and scream all you want to, and it's not going to get done. So, it's different aspects of this job. So like I said, and I think the talking points just come from inexperience, but not sitting in the seat.
You said everybody thinks that they can do a better job. What would he do differently? He said one of the things is, and he addresses a perception that you've got a closed door policy now. And he even said that on his first day in office, he would take off the door of his office and to be available to the public and the staff. Do you feel like you're unreachable?
Absolutely not. And like I said, that is a misquote by another strong employee who left. That said every time he walked by, my door is closed. And yeah, my door is closed until you knock on it.
Yeah.
And I tell every one of my employees that any employees can come see me. I said if you got a problem, or issue, or whatever, don't anyone tell you. You can ask any current employee. They say, can I go see the sheriff? They said he told me anytime I want to, I can come see him. Now, as far as the public is concerned, like I said, and I'm going to tell you, Sheriff Strength told me this when I took office, when I want to say, had the exit interview, he was talking. And he says, look, he said one of the worst mistakes I made was, or if I do anything again, he said, was trying to fix every problem myself. He said, wears you out, you just can't do it, because this county is too big. Like I said, we got 700 deputies. Like I said, I got 20 people on my command staff. Anybody in this agency can help you. I'm not the only person that can help you.
Yeah.
And I try to tell people too, all the time, if you give me your problem, I'm gonna go give it to someone else to make sure it gets fixed. So how about go to that person that's gonna fix it in the first place? I use this example all the time. I say one of my best friends, what I noticed. Let me. Motion sensor.
We've been too still.
Yeah. I had one of my best friends who owned a record company service, and I told him, if I broke down in the middle of the night and I called him, and 20 minutes later a record showed up, I don't care who's driving the record. It ain't got to be him.
Right.
It's the fact he sent the record. And that's how I look at people. I ain't got to be the one driving the record.
Right.
I'm the one to make sure the record comes. And especially, like I said, in a county this size, now, and people see these TV shows. This is not Mayberry. I tell people all the time too. How many times people ever met Sam Walden, but how many products they buy at Walmart? Because he has employees, store managers, and everything else to answer your questions and help you out. He owns the company and whatnot, but the other people do the heavy lifting. So, again, that's just a talking point. My employees know their access to me, and the citizen. I just say, let me get you to the person that I know is going to help you, because it's not going to be me, because I'm going to give your problem, your complaint, to whatever division that I know can fix it, and that's what happens. And most times, people are very happy with that. They want their problem solved. They want the record to come.
Yeah.
They don't want the sheriff always driving.
So you don't feel like you have a closed door policy at all?
I don't have a closed door policy. That is something that this current employee said one time, and everybody ran with it. Like when he said that every time you walk by, my door is closed. Everybody's door is closed until you knock on it.
All right. Richard Dixon asked his Facebook fans this month, why do you think the Richmond County Sheriff's Office has faced such an exodus of officers over the last 3 years? He said 166% increase in 3 years. Some of the answers that people gave: toxic work environment, overworked, forced overtime, unappreciated, pay, and then one person said Roundtree.
And now again, those are unsubstantiated facts, because like I said, if you do your own independent research, if you look at the local agencies around here, ours is not the highest turnover rate. Everybody thinks it is.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not.
Are his figures wrong, or are they just similar to other agencies?
I don't even know where you get his figures from.
Okay, so it wouldn't be 166% increase exodus of officers over the last 3 years?
I would not know that, Greg.
Okay.
But I do know that of local, the CSRA agencies, ours does not have the highest turnover rate.
Okay, he makes a point, and you have lost a lot of upper echelon people over the years since you've been here. From the beginning until recently, even we haven't really even reported Lieutenant Jennifer Shelton and just several other officers. You had your CID captain that was caught up in the sexual thing and all that. So there has been not only people that have been kind of fired, but several that have left the agency over the years.
They weren't left; they were fired.
Fired. Okay. Some have left, though, have they not?
Senior echelon people?
Yeah.
No.
Scott Peoples.
Scott Peoples left 8 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. So you really?
I'm just saying.
You feel like it's just getting the bad cops out is what has happened?
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm happy that we're getting bad cops out.
So you wouldn't consider any kind of exodus of officers?
Give me an example.
I'm just asking if you feel like there is an exodus of officers. He says, okay, so Richard Dixon is wrong when he says that.
Yeah, I said, show me the numbers. Like I said, show me who's exodus. I mean, if you want to look, why don't you look at a local agency, another local sheriff office who've lost their chief deputies, their captains. That doesn't happen in Richmond County, but it's not reported.
Yeah.
But it happens in local agencies, and that's not an issue. So how is it an issue in Richmond County?
Well, and I'm reading again what one of your challengers is saying.
And again, that's unsubstantiated.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Can you talk to me about homelessness in Richmond County? I know that's been a big issue for y'all that you've been addressing over the last year. I mean, is the perception of homelessness a true problem that y'all are seeing? And is there something in your platform for the next 4 years to really hit that hard?
Well, homelessness is not a sheriff office issue. That is a community issue. And we are been for the longest dealing with community partners try to address homelessness, because like I said, that's not a law enforcement issue.
But you're filling your jails with homeless people, though. I mean, I see the numbers when I go through the bookings. More and more of them are identified as homeless.
Yeah, but we don't keep them. So that's what I'm saying. That is a community issue of homeless. And the thing about it is, one, in Richmond County, we offer resources in Richmond County where other counties don't. So if you are a person looking for some assistance, whether you're homelessness or anything else, wouldn't you go to the place that offers assistance to homelessness people? Other surrounding counties, what other county offers resources to homeless people? Richmond County.
Right.
And that's why a lot of counties drop people off in Richmond County, where we had a problem with other agencies too. And not just in Richmond County, they had to pass a state law because other agencies were taking homeless people across county lines and dropping them off in other counties. to the point where they had to file, and people don't even know that. It got so bad, and it's not in Richmond County, in the state of Georgia,
Yeah.
that they passed a law saying that it's illegal to do that anymore.
When did they pass that? Recently?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Last year.
Huh.
So that's not a Richmond County issue.
Okay. And so, but you have actually taken a leadership role. You even had a meeting, I think, about homelessness, right? With especially certain encampments that are causing
Yeah,
problems.
but like I say, that we are a partner with that. We're not taking the lead in that. We are taking the partner in that. Because like I said, homeless people have no assets. Like you say, when they go to jail, they have no assets to bond out or anything. They become a burden to this community, to the taxpayers. So that's an issue. We don't want to lock up homeless people because, like I said, what does that do?
Yeah.
But like I said, we try to get to the point where we offer resources and whatnot. So we're part of that task force. We're not leading it. That was dictated by the county commission, who leads that task force. We're a part of it, but they tasked to lead the homeless task force. But we're definitely going to put our part into it to try to do our part of keeping them out of our jails.
Very good, very good. I appreciate that. A few more here. Bray Jackson, if you've read this week's jail report, Bray Jackson, sister of murder victim Shaniqua LaFavor, has called you out for not posting her sister's killer for the last 10 months. Can you explain why, in multiple cases, your agency obtains murder warrants?
It has nothing to do with the campaign, Greg.
Okay, so you don't want to answer that?
You asked me for the ground rules when we started, didn't you?
Okay, all right. Okay. In February, let's see. All right, campaign. All right. When it comes to campaign, just from the voters, there have been some comments when we've posted the challengers' profiles and things like that. And let me read you a few of them. We need a new sheriff in office. This is a Hetzeba couple. We need a new sheriff in office. Crime has gotten so bad. No one is safe. We need someone who is going to take the oath, make changes, stick with the oath for the protection of all people. What would you tell that Hetzeba couple?
Well, I think that, again, those are misinformation facts because crime has not gotten so bad. The numbers have shown that.
Okay. Roundtree must go, and all officers and internal affairs must go with him. That entire agency needs to be rebuilt. This one cover-up alone, this one life should be enough. Richmond County Sheriff's Office still has not turned over what they have in the Jermaine Jones case.
I'm not even familiar with that case.
You're not? Okay. Okay. And just another thing, are you planning to or open to participating in any debates in the coming weeks?
I haven't made any commitments to anything like that.
Have you been invited to any debates?
No.
Okay. If you were, would you
I
participate?
haven't committed yet to that.
Okay. So you haven't decided whether you...
I haven't
Okay.
committed to it.
Okay. All right. Did you have anything else? Because some of the other questions were kind of non-campaign related. It wasn't a whole lot, but I'll skip those. Did you have anything else that you want the voters really to know as they go to the polls? I mean, it's less than 2 weeks away. 2 months away.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, just look at the body of work that we've done. And, it's like anything else. And I've said this before. Everywhere I go, when I talk to people tell what a great job the sheriff's office is doing. And I tell them I got a great team.
Mm-hmm.
Those people don't comment online. They don't.
Yep.
And
Moses Todd
before,
does. Moses Todd does.
So there you go. But like I tell people, we fired a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to say anything positive about their experience because everybody's going to see themselves in the best light. And then, like I told you before, I didn't get 100% of the vote 12 years ago.
Right.
And this last election I only got 85% of the vote. So it was at least 15% of people out there that doesn't support me or the sheriff's office. And those are the people that most often than not, are going to comment. So that's why I say I take that with a grain of salt when I see those. And like I said, a lot of them, you think about, like you said before, the deputies we locked up, the people we've terminated. If you get fired from a job, you usually not going to say nice things about it. So the same thing with the sheriff's office. Again, this is a political position. I have to be understand. They have to be tough skinned with the political aspect. There's been negative comments about me and my administration for 12 years. I'm not nothing new to it.
Think you've grown thicker skin? You think you've grown thicker skin?
Absolutely, I have.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me because I know that is not the majority of the people in Richmond County. Because I know what the majority of people in Richmond County say because I'm out in Richmond County and I speak to the people. Like I said, those people don't comment online.
Okay. Good. So you feel like you've got a strong record to run on, and
Absolutely, I do.
Is there any sense of whether this would be the last term, or whether you have any idea of how long you may want to go?
No, I know I'm gonna do at least this term, and 4 years we'll reevaluate and see where I'm at then.
Very good. Well, Sheriff Roundtree, I appreciate the time, and wish you the best of luck on the campaign trail.
Okay.
All right.